What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Fatherhood Playbook. Host Randy Royce got a special guest with us today, and we're going to get into that just in a moment. But I just want to thank you again for tuning in and listening to two fathers communicate about what it takes to be a father, raising a student athlete, and having him prepared for anything that's available to him. So I have AP with us, huge basketball guy, great for Colorado, speaks his truths. And I'm excited to sit down and necessarily speak to him just about basketball, but I want to hear what it sounds like as a father raising one of the top Colorado basketball players heading into his last years of high school basketball. So come along as we have this journey. AP, can you tell us a little bit about your family growing up?
I grew up in Washington, D.C. My dad and mom split, and then my dad moved to Baltimore, remarried. So we moved out there, finished high school out there, me and my brother. And then I, moved back to D.C. once I finished high school, graduated high school, and then went to college and stuff like that. So that's kind of the area. I was all over. I was in D.C., I was in Maryland, I was in Virginia at times. I was everywhere. That area is really small.
What did it mean to be a part of such a competitive environment as a young man growing up, trying to hold your own on basketball courts, or even having two older brothers? How'd that competitive nature prepare you for basketball in life?
Yeah, growing up in that area back in that time, that's all we did. We played outside. We learned how to play basketball. We wasn't blessed to have all these trainers that these kids have now. So we spent a lot of time out there on the concrete, man, on the blacktop. And when we did go to the gym, it was really nice. So we got to compete, man, and just learn how to play basketball by playing every day.
Were sports always a part of your life? And was it just basketball, or was there anything else that you did that you enjoyed?
Yeah, football was my first love. Football was my first love that the first sport that I ever played. And later in life, I decided to do basketball. I guess I was better at basketball than football. So sports always been a part of my life, though.
Awesome. What are some life skills that even learning in Baltimore prepared you for now as a father raising two young men in this journey?
Some things by default, right? Like in the neighborhood and the environment that we grew up in, just being aware of your surroundings, on time, being punctual. Shoot, a stand-up guy, a stand-up person. You stand for something. You got to advocate for yourself, and just a strong will, man. Like guys from where I'm from, we just have a strong will. We really feel like if you can make it and make it from where we're from, you can make it anywhere. We always say that.
So it's a mindset.
It's just a different mindset.
It's a
Yeah.
different mindset. Now, what expectations did your family have for you off the court? Were grades and education a big thing for you, or did you just have to stay eligible to continue to be able to play sports?
There were expectations, and you know what? I'll be the first to say that I didn't meet as an individual. Like I didn't have, how can I say? I didn't have the guidance or the structure in home because my dad was working. Mom wasn't, my biological mom wasn't there. My stepmom was there, but we're not her kids. You know what I mean?
I am
Like it,
listening.
and she did her best that she could to try to help us, but we wasn't trying to listen. And like we were hard headed too, so the structure wasn't the best. But that's my fault. I should have took care of my grades, right?
Right.
Like so, and I had people in my corner, coaches, high school coaches, AAU coaches, that would get us and be like, "Hey, do your schoolwork. You got to do this." But we just didn't. We were knuckleheads a little bit.
And a little bit of knuckleheads.
Yeah. When I think about my journey and like me going to JUCO, when I got there, I didn't want to be there. Once I got there, I was like, "What? Man, I'm going home." I was like, "Grandma, give me a flight now." She was like, "Nope, you staying and you finishing what you started." So I think, yeah, the kids that we see that make it out, they either, at the end of the day, if that kid wants to do it, it will happen.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the difference. Some kids don't want to do it. They love that city too much or love that comfort zone.
In that moment, you had a phone call to make. You chose to call your grandmother. Can you explain that? Like, what was it about your grandma that you knew? Did you think she was going to allow you to come home, or was she going to be the one that said and told you exactly what you needed to hear? Like, nah, you're going to stick it out.
Yeah, no, my grandmother was a really important piece of our lives growing up. She was like my mother. You know what I mean? Like, cause my biological mom, you know, she had her struggles, but she turned the corner and she's doing amazing. Like, but my grandmother helped raise us a lot. You know, that's who I stayed with at first, and she's always been there. So she was like my security blanket, my comfort person to talk to. Whenever I went through anything, she was the person I could talk to.
That's awesome.
So
So now you're raising two boys here in Colorado. You've kind of seen where our basketball is at, and recently you started to start a program called True Colorado, right? Can you tell us a little bit about True Colorado and then what your message is? It sounds like you want to really preach fundamentals, but also helping these young student athletes reach their goals.
I think our program, True Colorado, the name has only been around for what? That we played you guys, it was like 3 years, 4 years, maybe 4 years, going on 4 years.
Four summers ago. Yep.
Yeah, 4 summers ago. So shoot, we were Woods Elite before that, and then we were the Colorado Hawks before that. So yeah, True Colorado. Now, the name hasn't been around that long. 4 years, going on 4 years.
But the standard, the
Yeah,
kids,
hmm
the has been part of the
has been
process for a
shoot
long time.
third grade since Darian Leach and all those guys. I started with those guys. Shoot, that was third, fourth grade.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been around for a while.
And just so people know why I asked AP to be a part of this, we were coaching Me basketball. He brought a team down that had Darian Proctor, Monte Johnson, Demetrius Lambert, Dylan Betts. But what I remember most after his team beat ours in the playoffs, it was a good game. They were up most of the game. Jonas Miller got hot at the end. And coach didn't come over to me and tell me, anything other than that Jonas Miller was a dog, and that stood out to me. His team won. His team went on to win the championship. But coming over to me to acknowledge one of my Colorado Springs kids in their effort and their play is what stood out. Yeah. And then, obviously the names that I named, the level of expectation and standards that you guys played with. Like, that's who I feel as Colorado Springs boys need to go compete with. That gets us better. And so when you brought those boys to come in the Whitefield League against my Me kids, I took that as a sign of like respect. Like, we got to go compete and we got to play the right way. Most of the times you guys come down, you probably won that whole league every game by 40, 30, 40 points because we weren't able to compete with the guys that you were. But for you, again, rambling here, but for you again to acknowledge one of my guys and that stood out to me. And again, that's why
He was
I
good.
think it's so important.
He lit us up.
So
he was good.
Jonas going to be heading to Black Hills State, and I think that it just shows like him hearing that message from AP, a Denver coach that has some elite kids, and goes up to Jonas and says, "Bro, you're a dog." Like, I can only imagine what that did to his mindset. And like, man, if this guy thinks that, then the work is showing, and that confidence and all the things that we talk about really start going. So much emphasis these days is on individual skill and exposure, right? We get the pay for clips, pay for write-ups, pay for camps, do all these things. How do we teach a kid to play the basketball the right way?
We teach kids to play basketball the right way by just simplifying the game. Like, it might sound so hard to teach that, but basketball minds know how to teach that. And like, the only thing that we communicate to our kids is like, hey, let's play the right way. Like, let's guard, let's defend, let's be a good teammate, like all of those things. And like, when we beat our person, if you have another person come, somebody's open. Just make the right play, right? Like, so it's not hard to. It's not hard when you really put it in a nutshell. But I think where the disconnect is that we think that the only notoriety and notability that you get is by putting the ball in the hole. Once we shift from that, I think that's when you'll see more kids that focus on playing the right way.
That can prove that they can play with four other
Yep.
like skilled or better players and find their
Yep.
role. So how important is it for the kids that you had around your son? Like, I just named some players that your son grew up with that might have been taller at an earlier age,
Yeah.
might have been more skilled at an earlier age, but him being a part of that culture that you guys were building and being a core piece of the puzzle developed him more than, oh, let's go put you on a team where they could just rebound for you and whatever happens.
Yep. I mean, like, and this is a great example. I'm glad you brought that up because Darian has not been the best player on my team. Like growing up, he wasn't the best player on my team. You've seen Demetrius Lambert. You've seen him. You came up to me and was like, who was that? You know what I mean? Like he's always been taller, bigger, stronger, faster, right? Like Darian had to get better. Darian had to put in work. Darian had to want to get better. And I never wanted my kid to be the best, right? I just told him if you really care about this and you really want to get better at it, you have to continue to develop. You have to. And look, I would rather you be not the best right now, because when you get older, you're gonna come to who you become to. Because typically we see the best kids at the younger age, that gap closes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And trust me, this past year, that gap is closed. It ain't, in my opinion, and I might have some biasness with that because obviously that's my kid. But as a basketball player, point guard in his class, not even close here.
Right. And you see
Not
guys
close.
like Jalen Brunson
It's
having
not
so
close.
much success,
Yep.
a smaller point guard, but what your son does is everything,
Like,
right?
like
And
it's not even close. In his class in 2028 in college, it's not even close. I'm talking about a basketball player, right?
IQ,
Hence the reason why he's going where he's going.
right?
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. What is Colorado Hoops doing right in your mind, and what can we do better to close that gap?
I think Colorado Hoops, we have a lot of great kids that can play basketball here. So some of the development here is getting good. Like the kids are good, especially that 28 class. Because I'm gonna say 28 class because that 27 class is about to graduate, right? Like this their senior year or whatever. They're going out. So 28 is the next up. Shoot, man, it's a lot of good basketball players. And in the younger ages, I've been coaching the younger kids, and I'm like, these kids could play. But in order for us to be great, I think this is the biggest issue. We have too many AAU programs here. We have too many unqualified coaches here. We have too many people. When you grew up, we were just talking about it on the golf course. When I grew up, we had 3 teams. If you didn't make one of those 3 teams, you had to go get some work in, get better so you can make those 3 teams. We don't have a big enough state to have all of these teams for us to go compete with the real world and be somewhat good and respectable. We just don't, right? Hence the reason why we had one 3SSB team this past year, which was our 16U team that did really well, right? And then we had our 15U that played on gold but made it to 3SSB at the end and did really well. But imagine if we had all that talent in 2 teams here. One in the Springs, one in Denver, or 2 in Denver, 2 in the Springs, right? Now, all those kids to go funnel to those programs
Right.
and go play on their respectable circuits, we would be pretty good.
Now, as a father, coach, in that, my thought is, you get the elite kids and put them together. Give me the top 10 kids in Colorado, and we threw them all on the same team. They didn't go to Mountain Stars, they didn't go to True, and go to LOB and go to Pluto, and these 10 kids went and played for this coach. We could compete at that level.
Oh, you would be one of the best teams in the country, period, in my opinion. Like if you take one kid from all these teams in that class, right, the best ones, because most of them play for Mountain Stars, True, all the different top teams here, right? Like if you take one kid, everybody has one, right? Like and put them on our Joe Blow team, on a random name team, and they'll be one of the best teams in the country. But you know what? Too many egos. Too many people want to be the guy. Too many parents want their kids to be the guy. You know what I mean? But they don't realize that when you have a good team and you go to the Elite Eight or Final Four or championship on a main top tier circuit, your kid's going to get recruited, even if he's the 7th guy. Coaches want guys who know how to win.
In a previous podcast, you had mentioned maybe even starting a podcast yourself, just because you want to give parents the education that they need throughout this process. So the next couple of questions I have are just really directed to the parents. And you've been around a lot of the parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are they doing to hurt this the development process? Is it, like you said, we kind of talked about, too many games, or are they're moving their kid and expecting them to be the star?
Yeah, first of all, they're living vicariously through their kids because most of them have probably went to college themselves and then got cut, and now they're upset at the world and want their kid to be the next best thing smoking, right? Like,
Right.
because they didn't have the hoop or football or basketball or baseball dreams. But that's the first thing. I think the second thing is that there's no consistency. There's no consistency with what the plan is. Like, when I was thinking of my plan for Darian, it was based on, did he want to do this? And if he wanted to do this, I was like, okay, you want to do this, you have to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm coming from experience because I actually played. It's so many different ways to find out the information on what you need to do. First and foremost, we need to let these kids be kids. They do need to train. And the training, we're just paying anybody to train our kids. Let's really think about that. So I'm gonna pay $100 a session or whatever it is, $80, 50, 60, 70, whatever it is, to a guy or person that's going to develop my kid. Like, when you go watch these workouts, they're at fifth grade doing in and out, tween, cross, behind the back, step back, shot. And then when I come and get them and I bring them into the gym, I say, hey, do a jump stop, reverse pivot, layup, left hand. They don't know what that is. You got trainers who literally go watch other trainers and see what they do and then implement it and think that I can make money off this. It's a very lucrative business when it's smart. They're smart.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like, parents need to really do the research on what is being taught and gravitate more towards fundamental. Go watch Jalen Brunson. I tell all the parents, go watch Jalen Brunson. He's not even like 6'1". He's like 6 feet. Like, I've seen him in person. You know what I mean? I'm a huge Villanova fan. He plays off of 2 feet. If you master the fundamentals, then you can build on all that stuff. You don't see Jalen Brunson doing that. You don't see Steph Curry doing that. He does what he does very well. Get to his spots, knock it down. Simple. So we got to focus more on fundamentals.
Absolutely. I think it's practicing, like, reps are great, right? But let's get the reps that are actually going to be utilized in game, like catching and shooting the ball.
Yep.
Everything's not off the dribble.
Yep.
Different, and everything's not 6, 7 dribbles before I could get into something. You probably, a coach like myself, like, I think 3 dribbles is a good number, right? Like, boom, boom, boom. We're either getting a paint touch, we're swinging the ball, we're cutting through, we're screening away. A lot more advantages can be created by ball movement instead of unnecessary bounces. What should parents do more of in this process of raising a student athlete or raising young boys in the world today?
Be quiet. I know that's funny. I know that's funny to really say, but no, I'm serious, man. Like, I love all the parents that we come across, because honestly, man, I tell the kids all the time, without the parents, you're not here.
You're not here.
You know what I mean? So you need to be thankful. But I honestly, though, in all reality, I think that the parents need to just relax. Like, nobody's going to the NBA tomorrow. Like, we're fifth grade, man. We're sixth grade. We're seventh grade. Like, you don't have to be the best player in the country to make it to a college and go play. Like, the object is to just get school paid for free and possibly go play later in life if you want to,
Right.
just relax. Like, we got so many parents, like, that just wants it so bad for their kid, and they don't even have a clue that their kid doesn't even want to do that. Like, just relax and let your kid be a kid. Let them fall, let them fail, and you just be there to support them and help them up.
Now, in this process of being dad, 16 years, have you ever questioned if you were doing dad correctly?
Hey, in all transparency, my wife told me last night, hey, what you just did was wrong. Something happened last night where, I was coaching Darian, like, we were training and stuff. She was like, don't you think your son's about to leave and go to prep school? Like, your son's not gonna be in the house anymore. Like, don't you think you need to ease up a little bit? Like, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But then I'm like, am I wrong? No, I gotta prepare him. I'm preparing him. But it allowed me to think about it and to sit down with him in real time and have that conversation with him, so we're on the same page.
That's awesome.
I don't hate you. I'm not mad at you. I'm just really trying to prepare you. You have a chance. You know what I mean? So
So what's a lesson that you learned too late, right, in this process that you want to give the heads up to a father maybe now in that process?
That's it's a good question because it's a lot of them. But I would have to say I would stick with the don't push your kid away from the love of anything, whatever it is. We're talking about sports, so we're just gonna say sport. Don't push your kid so hard that you think you're pushing him more towards his goal and his success when you're pushing him further and further away. Most of us think that we have the education and the knowledge in this area in the parent space when we really don't. That's just a fact. That's just a fact of the matter. Lean on the people in your community, lean on the coaches in your community because they can probably communicate with your kid in a different space and help them get to where they need to be. Don't push them up. You think you're pushing them to it and you're just ruining it for them. You're just ruining it. You know what I mean? You don't want to kill that love for it.
So you think being a product of their environment, putting them in the right spots,
Yep.
surrounding them with the right people, and as a father, ease up, let them have their time with the process and trust the process. You don't have to
stop caring so much.
stop caring so much. He didn't score 20 points this game,
there you go.
but he made the right basketball play. Let's just let it go.
There you go.
And keep going.
There you go.
Now, just a lot of parents have issues with how they handle good games and bad games. I know you say let it go, but and that is great advice. But did you handle good games and bad games differently? And do you handle them differently now?
For sure. For sure. When I was playing myself, dude, when I would come home, Darian was born when I was in college. I was a sophomore. I would come home and Kelsey would be like, hey, here's Darian. I'd be like, be mute, quiet, wouldn't say anything. And she'd be like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, just leave me alone. I don't want to be bothered. I used to shut down, but it was so like depressing and like, why? I used to beat myself up. But man, yes, I handle that completely different now, especially with my kids. Like when we have a bad game and Darian plays bad or Drake plays bad, I don't say nothing to him. Not right then and there. And just if you don't have effort and you have a bad attitude, that's something different. But we're talking about just not playing a good game. It's been times where we go home and I just don't say nothing. You know why? Because I'm not gonna rob him of that experience. He's already upset at himself. So he's sitting there all bummed out. I'm like, you good? And he's like, no, I played like crap. I'm like, and we eating or whatever. I totally just dismiss it. I'm like, cool. You know what I mean? I'm letting him sit in that moment.
Because you also said, like, we give him suggestions. You walk through that door, you're going to get slapped. Well, you walked through the door and got slapped. We don't have to be there to be like, I told you were going to get slapped. Let him sit in that moment. Let him figure it out. And go that way. I absolutely love that. Another thing that I think both of us have in common, and maybe we get looked at differently for it, is the hard coaching. But my message with hard coaching, I probably coach the kids that I see the most potential in the hardest, right? If I can coach my best kid the hardest, then everyone else is going to fall into that standard. Is that something that you see the same? Or what is it about hard coaching that you believe in and part of your message?
Yeah, I see that the same. Demetrius Lambert was my best player for a very long time, since they were young. He was one of the best players, you know what I mean? If not the best, outside of Dylan and, stuff like that. But we always had 5, 7, 8 really good basketball players, right? But Meach would get the recognition. Dylan would get the recognition because, they passed the eye test and Meach is really athletic. Dylan was, a footer, dude. Like, come on, man. Look what he's doing now, right?
Absolutely.
So I coached those guys harder than I coached everybody else. And by default, my son was going to get the hard coaching anyway. Coach's kid. You're not going to say I'm a daddy ball coach. It's just not going to happen. You're going to have to earn everything. So I think that goes a long way and it helps our kids. If you hold the best player accountable, then your culture never shifts. Your culture pretty much stays good. Now, as they get older, it gets more challenging.
Now, do you find even ways with the elite kids, that you had to back off at times?
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm riding him. I got love for Demetrius, but I see right now in his eyes, he needs me to chill out. Do you know when?
This year.
Tell us about it.
This year. It was like he didn't play up to his ability that he always do the first half of the 3SSB season. And, you know, I was riding him. I was hard on him. I was hard on him. I was hard on him. And it got to a point where it was like, you know what? I'm done talking. If you don't do X, Y, and Z, you won't play. And then at the end of the games, he would play the whole games and he would go out there and he would do exactly what we didn't need or that we didn't want him to. And I sat him down. And he's like, Coach, what's going on? Why you not playing me? And I'm like, it is what it is, bro. Figure it out. You know what I mean? So second half of the season, he tells my wife in the car, I've been bull crap. I've been not doing what I was supposed to be doing. And I just I left it alone, dude. Like, didn't really talk to him about it. Didn't really talk to him that much because I wanted to give him that space, wanted to stay away. And I didn't care as much at that time, like just to let it go and let him kind of figure it out because I cared too much. Back to what I'm saying, I cared too much, right? Man, that boy came out there and played amazing. The last push, he was our best player. 20, 30, 40, like game winners. Two of them in 1 week. Like, and now he's happy he's getting back to who he was because I just didn't say anything. Because,
Right.
you know, I look at Meech like a son. Been coaching him for a long time. So when I had to step back from him and Darian, just not say something, just not say anything, and just let them figure, you know, just let them hoop.
And sometimes, and that's different.
And
You've
I wanted
learned
to
that.
say, and I wanted to say something like, "What are you doing?" Blah 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 blah. You know, and be hard. But I was like, you know what? I don't even have the voice to do it no more, and the energy. I'm gonna just, hey, we'll just let them do it. And they balled out.
And then they did it.
And
then they
did
did it. What is a mistake you've made as a dad that actually made you a better dad?
Disciplining my son when I really didn't want to do it because I felt sorry for him. Both of them. You know, can I go hang out with my friends? And I drew that line. I said, I don't never force my kids to do anything. This is what I give them. I give them multiple choice because it's their life. At the end of the day, they're gonna make the decisions in their life because I'm not gonna always be there. So I said, hey, you have to clean up your room. If you don't clean up your room, this is what's gonna happen. If you clean up your room, this is what's gonna happen. And I say, you make the decision. Now, when I come back down at 5 o'clock, hopefully you made a decision because that's when the cut off is. But you have to make a decision about it.
And you're gonna be dad.
And I came down and it wasn't done like it was supposed to be done. And no, you can't go do this or you can't go do that. And to see them hurt and to be like crying, you know, and upset. And some of it was some hard stuff too,
right?
That I had to step in and make decisions on. Shoot, man, it hurts all the time as a parent.
Well, sometimes we talk about being the bad dad, right?
Yeah.
Or being the bad guy and
Yeah.
and having to hold that standard, or we see how our boys check our our wives and test those buttons, but as soon as dad steps into the picture, the room's cleaned, everyone's teeth brushed, everything. But in all reality, I don't love being that guy.
Yeah,
I don't want to do it, but I know that they need it because I didn't have that. I didn't have structure as a young man growing up. So making sure that these kids have it has to be a standard.
That's
for
me
our
right
family.
now. Like right now, like I would guarantee you, if you ask my kids, hey, who's the good guy, who's the bad person? They will point at me and say I'm a bad person, right? Like because I'm the structure, I'm the assertiveness, I'm the disciplinary. Like my wife does a great job at that too. But like, when I walk in, it's like, oh,
Dad's here.
yeah, yo, you saying something to who? You know what I mean? Now it's like,
now we go.
Yeah.
What are the hardest moments as a sports dad? Is it even in the losses, or is it seeing your kids, being uncomfortable or going through adversity?
Dude, I don't. You know what? I don't really have any hard moments as a sports dad because I don't look at it like everybody else does. I really look at it from a different perspective. I look at every situation that was good and bad as a time to learn from it. And I embrace, when I tell you with Darian, we've embraced the good, the bad, all of it. We've embraced it all. Like, there never was a bad moment where I can tell you that I really came home throughout his whole high school basketball career here, middle school AAU, high school AAU. I have never came home and been upset at what's going on his in his basketball journey.
That's awesome.
Never. I've never been upset. Like, it's changed. As bad as this sounds, I don't care if he doesn't. That's not me. Like, it's not that I don't care. I want people to hear what I'm saying. It's not that I don't care, but I remove myself from caring too much. This is his life. This is his basketball. If he wants to do it, he will rise to the occasion eventually.
And
But
you've
I'll be here for
implemented
the
that.
support. I'll be here for the support.
Absolutely. I do remember you talking about beautiful moments, right? Beautiful moments that the game provides us. If it's the after game celebrations in the locker room, if it's the 8 hour drives to go play in Kansas, or even just the trips that you used to come down here and play and compete. What are some of those beautiful moments that you'll remember in this journey?
Yeah, all the trips, all the time spent with my son. Like I can honestly say, my son and all the other kids. Like I can honestly say, like I will never forget those moments. Right, like staying in Augusta, Georgia, like in a somewhat like a Motel 6, because there's nothing in Augusta, like playing at May Hoops, playing at Adidas, playing at Under Armours. We did all the circuits, right? Like we did all of them from middle school all the way to high school, and just the funny moments, the plane rides. Like I'm gonna remember those things, those times the most. More of the good than the bad for sure.
That's awesome. So when all the basketball's over, what do you hope your son says about you as a father? I know you mentioned that he was there. Is there anything else that you hope your boys remember or say about you about this journey?
You know what? All I need, they can say all the negative and good stuff they want, but at the end of the day, all I want is to say exactly what I said before. Hey, Pops was there, man. Pops pushed us. Pops was there.
That's
That's the
awesome.
only thing. That's the only thing that really matters to me is that I was there for these other kids and these kids. Man, Coach was there. Coach made sure it happened. You know what I mean? Like
That's awesome.
that's what I care about.
So now we've got a little bit of a transfer going through the process,
Yep.
right? Darian's going to head to Tilton.
Yep.
Can you explain that process and what you're hoped for as he heads out to a new journey?
I mean, this move really, I've been kind of talking about this since he was young. Once I figured out the landscape of Colorado basketball in general, and this is no shade at the guys who are doing a great job here. You know what I mean? But like for me, playing prep school basketball as well, I played prep school basketball and public school. For me, as a state, with Darian's goals and dreams and visions of what he has for himself, this was the decision that we helped him make to help him get to where he needs to be. We felt as a family that if he stayed here in Colorado, the chances of him hopefully getting the opportunities to reach his goals that he has, now they might be far fetched for some, but that's not for me to say, right? That's not for me to judge,
Dream big.
right? You got to dream how you dream. I'm not gonna knock your dreams down. So we needed to put him in a different situation where he can develop, where he can grow academically, athletically, and independently. See, a lot of people don't talk about that piece. That third piece is the biggest piece, is because you will have a lot of kids that are good here that can go to college and play basketball. Might go to a small school, but what happens in the first couple months? It gets hard, and they come back because they've never been anywhere else. You know what I mean? So for me, Darian's going to be on his own, training, developing. Now you don't have your dad saying, "Hey, get up. You got to go to school in 15 minutes." You got to do all that by yourself.
Gotta do that
You
by
know what I
yourself.
mean?
Yeah.
And then like the summer that he had a really good summer this summer, and all the recruitment happened and all that good stuff, and then we just had to make a decision between a few couple schools that we had in mind, and that was the decision that he's made. He wanted to go there.
Absolutely. So, what are some sacrifices that his mother's made in this journey? Right, her baby's gone, and your dad wants to take him to another basketball camp. Dad wants to, do this camp. He wants to do this. Let me just say, Dad wants to do this.
Yep.
D wants to do this stuff. What are some things that your wife sacrificed, and what does that mean to you in this journey?
She sacrificed a lot, man. A lot of nights where I wasn't home, a lot of days where I'm not home, and she really caring after Drake. Drake takes the back seat to a lot of things too. We all do, right? Like my youngest, but now it's his time because Darian is now moving on to this different phase of his life. But I think she kind of knew. She took sacrifices in our marriage, me not being there all the time, and like the emotional support that our wives need at times. Like she took the back seat to a lot of stuff, but I think that she's the most strongest individual in our family, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Like she's the heartbeat. Like, let's not get that twisted. I'm not this big tough bad guy, right? Like, she keeps it all together because she's a very family oriented person. And I think that it helps me calm down and being able to do things a little bit differently. So she's upset. She's a mom. You know, she's a mom first. She's like, oh, my baby's gone, but she also understands what he's gonna get from this
Right,
experience.
raising the
Yeah,
man
what he's
and
gonna get from this
letting
experience.
him go. Now you've seen kids go from being young prospects to now, like you said, chasing college opportunities. What do these families need to understand about that journey?
Oh, that journey is dark. You know what I'm saying? That journey is dark. It gets lonely. Sometimes you second guess yourself. Like, dang, am I really doing? Can I do this? I remember my last year in Europe. I hated it. Right before the Christmas break, before I go home and see Darian and those guys, I'm like, man, I'm not enjoying basketball. It had nothing to do with the country I was in. It had nothing to do with the team that I was with. We were actually doing really well and I was playing really well. It was just like I wasn't enjoying basketball at that time, right? Like, so you're gonna have those moments where you don't enjoy it. But how do you find that love back? So parents, like, support your kids. If that means they need a break or they want to go harder, let them pave their own way. Stop trying to pave their way for them. You know what I mean? Let them pave their own way and just sit back and relax. Chill. It's gonna be fine.
So I think I know this answer because your son's older and now heading off, and then my thought was what's next? But you're going to start this journey all over again with your youngest son. It sounds like so. True
Yeah.
Colorado is going to be staying around with Proctors for time to come.
Yeah, True Colorado will be here. And I'm gonna be honest, man. Like, True Colorado will be here because we have some good things happening this year. And I plan to the same experience for my youngest son. I don't know what that looks like yet. Like, I might at that time in my life, I might want to be the program director, sit back and watch, and be a dad because you got to understand I made sacrifices too. Being a dad's coach, you miss out on just being a dad because you're a dad coach,
Yeah.
right? So with Darian, it's like, coach, I missed a lot of dad. You know what I mean? So I'm looking at Drake like, oh man, I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna be the assistant coach. You know what I mean, and let this guy be the coach. But yeah, we're gonna keep it going because at the end of the day, I want to help develop the state, man, and have a platform for these kids.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you being here, spending this time with us to give us
Sure.
knowledge. Just my last closing thing. I know I asked you, a week or two ago, if you would join us on the Fatherhood Playbook. Is there anything that I didn't ask you today that you were hoping that I hit on?
No, no, not to the top of my head. Nope. I think you did a really good job with your question, asking about me as a person, me as a father, because a lot of people don't get to see who we are. They just see who we are as coaches,
When
and
we're
be like,
screaming at
and you
someone.
see you screaming, and they say, "Oh, I don't like him," right? Like, but you're a really good person, a really cool guy. So, yeah, no, I think you asked a lot of questions to help people understand me more.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for the knowledge that I got. And now, your youngest son might have a whole different perspective
Mhm.
because of what we've learned and grew through this process. But thank you again for coming and joining us on the Fatherhood Playbook, episode 4. And we will be in touch. We'll see you guys next
All
time.
right,
Thanks
peace.
again.